On July 3, 1988, Iran Air Flight 655, a commercial passenger plane, was en route Tehran to Dubai. In a blink of an eye, it was shot down by a missile from the USS Vincennes, a US Navy cruiser, over the Parisian Gulf. All 290 passengers and crew on board lost their lives. This tragedy immediately captured global headlines, sparking a wave of international shock and outrage. In this video, we'll unravel the mystery of Iran Flight 655. The US Navy operating the USS Vincennes in the Parisian Gulf made a world-shaking mistake. They said they thought Iran Air Flight 655 was an Iranian F-15 fighter jet. Now, imagine this. A civilian Airbus A300, just like the ones we might travel in, confused for a sleek military jet. Sounds unbelievable, right? But Iran wasn't buying this explanation. They fired back, accusing the US of a deliberate attack. This wasn't just a war of words. It was a clash of narratives with both sides standing firm. So, what's the truth? Let's unpack the details. First, here's the technology. The Vincennes was equipped with some of the most advanced radar and identification systems of the time. Could such high-tech gear really mix up a large, slow-moving passenger plane with a fast, nimble fighter jet? Then there's the location. Flight 655 was flying within a commercial air corridor, a kind of highway in the sky for civilian planes. Why would a military jet be there? And why didn't the Vincennes recognize this common flight path? Adding to the intrigue, reports suggest the Vincennes was in Iranian territorial waters. If true, this raises a big question. What was it doing there? Some say it was a high-pressure situation, with tensions running hot. Others whisper about deeper motives. The US investigation concluded it was a tragic error due to the high-stress environment and miscommunication. But this official story didn't sit well with everyone. Many saw it was too convenient, a narrative to calm international waters, but perhaps hiding more turbulent truth beneath it. And what about the Iranian side? They demanded justice and called for international condemnation. The loss of 290 innocent lives, including 66 children, was not just a statistic, it was a national tragedy, a wound that still feels fresh to many. Since 1980, the Persian Gulf has been overshadowed by the Iran-Iraq War, a fierce conflict that drew in global powers. The United States, seeking to protect its interests, was deeply involved, playing a complex game of diplomacy and military might. This involvement wasn't just a distant policy decision made in Washington, it had real, palpable consequences in the Gulf. In this charged atmosphere, every ship, every plane was under intense scrutiny. Fear and suspicion were the order of the day. The skies and waters of the Gulf weren't just routes for travelers and traders, they were chessboards for military strategists. As Iran Air Flight 655 prepared for takeoff, little did the passengers know that they were flying into a zone where geopolitics and human lives were about to collide in the most tragic way. Their flight, meant to be a routine journey across the azure waters of the Gulf, was set to become a pivotal moment in history, a stark reminder of the razor-thin line between peace and disaster. July 3rd, 1988, started as a routine day for Iran Air Flight 655. The Airbus A300, bustling with 290 souls, families, students, and children, lifted off from Bandar Abbas, a bustling Iranian city. Their destination, the sun-drenched city of Dubai. Little did they know, their journey would etch itself into history, not for its destination, but for its tragic end. In the same waters of the Persian Gulf, the USS Vincennes was on high alert. This powerful US Navy cruiser, armed with advanced radar and missiles, was like a hawk, vigilantly scanning the skies for threats. The Gulf was a powder keg of tensions, with the Iran-Iraq War at its peak. Every blip on the radar could be a friend or foe, a dilemma of split-second decisions. At 10:17 a.m., a blip appeared on Vincennes' radar. A critical error unfolded. The crew misidentified Flight 655 as a descending Iranian F-14 Tomcat, a fighter jet. In reality, the Airbus was climbing, following its usual flight path. Tense minutes ticked by as the crew debated. With the press of a button, two missiles streaked across the sky, racing towards an unimaginable mistake. In moments, the sky was shattered by an explosion. Flight 655, a beacon of civilian life, was reduced to wreckage sinking in the Gulf's blue waters. All 290 aboard, their dreams, hopes, stories were lost in an instant. The world, about to wake up to this news, would grapple with a haunting question. How could such a tragic mistake occur? News of the drowning of Flight 655 spreads like wildfire across the globe. Television screens and radio waves fill with the devastating story, capturing the attention of millions. People from all corners of the world are glued to their screens, disbelief and sorrow etching their faces. The scale of this tragedy is not just a number, it's a jolt to the global community, a stark reminder of the horrors of conflict. Among the 290 lost souls, there were 6 children, their lives tragically cut short. Families are torn apart, dreams shattered in an instant. The Iranian community is engulfed in mourning, their grief a palpable force. But it's not just Iran that mourns. Nations worldwide feel the pang of this loss, a shared heartache for lives lost so senselessly. The world demands answers. International leaders from Europe to Asia express their shock and call for a thorough investigation. Newspapers and media outlets are abuzz with analysts and experts dissecting every detail, trying to make sense of how such a catastrophe could occur. The United Nations is under pressure. Countries push for resolutions and discussions on military conduct and civilian safety. This incident ignites a global conversation on the fine line between defense and the unacceptable loss of innocent lives. In cities across the world, people take to the streets in solidarity with the victims. Candles are lit, vigils are held, and flowers laid at Iranian embassies. The public's voice is loud and clear. Such tragedies must never happen again. This collective call for peace and safety in the skies becomes a powerful moment transcending borders and languages. Television stations and newspapers tread a delicate line, balancing the need to report the news and sensitivity towards the bereaved. Stories of the victims, their lives, dreams, and aspirations are shared, painting a human face on the tragedy. This human aspect keeps viewers around the world emotionally connected, ensuring that the memories of those lost are honored and not just reduced to statistics. The US government stood firm on its stance, a tragic case of mistaken identity. In a high-stakes game of cat and mouse in the Persian Gulf, the USS Vincennes, on high alert, misread the signals. Amidst the fog of the Iran-Iraq war, the US Navy was on edge, fearing attack from Iranian F-14 aircraft. This tense backdrop set the stage for the fatal decision. Iran's reaction was immediate and furious. They branded the incident not as an accident, but as an unforgivable act of aggression. Iranian officials demanded international condemnation of the US, seeking justice for the lives lost. The grief was palpable, with a nation in mourning. As investigators pieced together the puzzle, a complex picture emerged. The USS Vincennes had indeed mistaken the Airbus A300 for a military jet. A series of technical misreadings and human errors were unveiled. The ship's radar misidentified the flight profile, and the crew, under immense pressure, made a split-second decision. When the report hit the public, it sparked a firestorm of debate. Was it just a tragic error, or could this have been avoided? Questions swirled about the rules of engagement and the use of military force. Decades later, this incident continues to be a subject of heated discussion. It stands as a stark reminder of how quickly situations can escalate and the irreversible consequences of misjudgment in times of war. In the wake of Flight 655's downing, the already fragile relationship between the United States and Iran took a nosedive. This incident amplified mistrust and hostility, casting a long shadow over future negotiations. Both nations became more cautious, with Iran viewing US military presence in the region with increased suspicion. Years later, the US agreed to pay compensation to the victims' families, though it was a move met with mixed reaction. This was a step, albeit a small one, toward mending fences. Out of tragedy comes change. The incident sparked a global overhaul in military and civilian aviation protocols. Emphasis was placed on improving aircraft identification systems to prevent such misidentifications in the future. International efforts were ramped to enhance communication between military and civilian air traffic controllers, ensuring clear skies for all. As we close this chapter on the Iran Air Flight 655 story, let's carry with us the lessons learned and the memories of those lost. It's a reminder of the value of every human life and the importance of understanding in our world. If you found the story insightful and important, please hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Your thoughts and perspectives matter, so feel free to share them in the comments below. Together, let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching.